Welcome to the Sisterhood Podcast, where faith meets real talk and sisterhood means doing life together. Hosted by Ashley and Megan, this is your space to be seen, heard, and reminded that you don't have to do life or faith alone. We're just two friends chasing Jesus and inviting you into the journey.
Because the road gets sweeter when we walk it together. Whether you're navigating your purpose, building community, or just need a soul refresh, we got you.
So grab your coffee
And pull up a seat at the table.
This is the Sisterhood Podcast. Let's grow in faith together.
Welcome. Yeah, we hope your week's gone well so far, almost to the weekend.
Yes.
And always looking forward to a nice long weekend. If you're in a certain season, though, the weekend just means a couple days that you have to recover from and get everybody back in line for school. But summer's coming.
Yes.
So,
Well, and probably by the time this episode airs, it'll already be summer.
oh, yeah.
We'll be out. We'll just be managing children.
We'll be surviving.
Yes. Surviving. We
Wow.
watched, our youth did an outdoor movie night fundraiser, and we watched Mom's Night Out with, Trace Adkins is in it. He's like this biker gang dude. It's a Christian movie.
Is that the one where they're wearing like unicorn onesies and stuff? Or is that
No.
making it? Oh, that's the other Mom's Night Out.
Probably.
Not
This
that
one
one.
has the girl that I don't know her real name, but the girl that plays April Kepner in Grey's Anatomy, the redhead. She's in the movie. I should probably look it up,
How do you know these things?
because I watched all seasons. Of
I did
Grey's
too.
until
I don't remember
getting
anything weird.
Yes,
Yeah.
until she's the one. She was the Christian girl in the seasons
Oh, that's interesting.
that slept with Avery.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's the like main mom, and so she's trying to have this mommy blog post and
Okay.
just very relatable. And then she goes out with her best friend and then the pastor's wife, and they have their mom's night out, and then it just does not go anything according to plan, which is typically how things go. And I don't know where I was going with the story, but
we said we would be surviving the summer.
yes, so she had put that on her calendar of like, she had put freedom as like the night out that they were going, and then this whole night turned into chaos, and so it gave her new perspective on like just being a mom and how valuable our purpose is. And she was like, I'm not just living to have freedom from my kids, like I'm living to be a part of their lives and be.
Yeah.
And so at the end, it showed her calendar again, and it just said, I think it said, I can't remember what, but it was just like a shift in perspective from I'm escaping this
Right.
to I'm being in the moment.
Yeah.
And so,
I love those TikToks where the parents have like full on refrigeration stations in their bathrooms. And so like they're in there, they've got a coffee pot and the creamer in the fridge, and they're like sitting in the bathtub. Obviously, there's no water. They're both in there sitting there
yeah.
drinking their coffee. The door's locked, and the
Yeah.
kids are like, knocking on the door nonstop. And they're like, go to the bathroom, do not disturb. Like, that's my level of escape.
Yeah.
We need more locks on our doors. But anyways,
Anything else exciting that you're watching?
yeah, I was thinking about this, and I watch a lot of the true crime documentaries. So the Murdaugh murders is one.
Yeah.
And I just realized that that's in South Carolina, which is wild.
Yeah.
So probably don't need to watch that. I might be a little bit. I might start seeing things. Like when it's too close, you're like,
It's a little far away to be where you wouldn't, but they do have
it's 2 hours. You said Columbia.
yeah, they did have a house on Edisto, and it's obviously not their house
Very
anymore.
uncomfortable now, but that one, and then there's the Jason Corbett murder. It's called like a perfect, I don't know, the perfect marriage or something. But anyways, like the dad gets involved, and like they interviewed. Unfortunately, what really piqued my interest is the interview with the FBI agents, where they're like, "We've never seen such a gory crime scene." I was like, "Show me, show me, the
Let me
pictures."
see. Let me be the judge.
I know. So between that, my husband is very concerned about my algorithm. Seth is like, you need to just delete your account and start over. Because it's like that, Seinfeld, and Home Improvement. He's like, what has happened here?
Yeah. Well, mine is all. It's not true crime because it's all.
Yeah.
Just. I don't want to say it's whatever. It's just normal TV. But it all has to do with crime. So we've been watching The Rookie. We watched that when we got the flu earlier this year. And we're actually caught up. We've watched all 7 seasons and now with the
Now with it.
And then NCIS.
I always liked those, but then like as they changed, you know, there was a different branch for every city in the world.
No, it's just the
I keep
OG
it.
one.
Yeah.
Just like which Gibbs is not on there anymore, which is a lot, but
I liked it.
we love Gibbs. But it's still, I do like the new guys that they've got in there. They've developed like a solid team, and so I'm not mad at the direction that they.
It's good. It's good.
And then I just started a new show, because I'm all caught up with all the other ones, called Matlock. Not the old Matlock,
I don't know how I
but
feel
she
about that.
does reference so it's a whole, like, she's gone into this, she's 75 years old, she's
Mhm.
gone into this law firm kind of undercover to figure out which of these lawyers documents to keep opioids off the streets. So like her daughter died because of opioid overdose, and so she's trying to find the lawyer in this firm that prevented them from being taken off the streets or whatever.
Wild.
And so she's gone in under the name Madeline Matlock. And so her whole thing is, yes, like the old lawyer TV show. She was like, I don't know the guy, and so it's kind of like her whole
premise.
Yes. And
Cool.
then they play like the little theme song on there. And so it's really good. Like I thought it was going to be, but I mean, it's really good. And she's the main character, 75 years old, and she's just given like,
Well, that's like Angela Lansbury vibes for me, like very much. But you know, like Murder She Wrote. Angela Lansbury, that was her actual. Jessica Fletcher was the name on the show. So just so you know, because that's the agedness I am. What I was gonna say when you were saying all this, have you seen The Residence? I think it's called, or The Resident. The Residence.
yeah, it's a medical one.
No. So or it's just called Resident. I'm gonna mess this up. I'm gonna give you the synopsis.
Okay.
She is an African American detective, and the White House has just experienced murder.
Oh, yeah.
And she comes in as the best detective in the world, and it is hilarious. I think it's 8 episodes. And that's it. It's a mini series, so it's not like a TV
I
show.
don't know how I feel about those because I want more.
Okay, but you will like
gives
this.
you more.
It gives you
more.
plenty. It gives you so much. So she's like also an avid bird watcher. So in the middle of discovering like key elements of the case, she's out in the courtyard of the White House looking for a warbler or something to write on her checklist. But her mind and the way her mind works, it's wild. And so it really feels like, I think probably where I'm at in my life and my career projection, I have also felt like a spy, and also like I'm undercover, like a detective.
Yes.
Like I'm uncovering all these things that I really don't want to uncover, but I have to.
Mm-hmm.
And so those have been very appealing shows, but I'll share it with you because it's very clean.
It's probably like what High Potential is. Did you ever watch that one? So it's also a crime,
Like
but
detective-ish.
she's the cleaning lady, and of this police station, and her IQ is like next level, and she comes in to clean at night, and she notices like their board where they're like determining
The cases,
who
like,
done it.
yeah.
And so she fixes something on the board because she's like, because they had like the wife was the victim or the suspect, but she was actually the victim. And
So she like rearranged it.
rearranged it, and the police come in the next day and they're like, who messed with my board? But it's good, but it's funny too. Like
Okay,
it's
I have to look. Is it
it's-
High Potential? You said,
yeah, High
and it's
Potential.
on.
I watched it on Disney Plus, but it's
Okay.
Hulu.
Okay.
But it's on
Okay.
ABC. But
Interesting.
it's she's an Olsen, but I don't know if she's related to the Olsen twins.
Whatever happened to them?
One-
One of them dated Macaulay Culkin, or who's the one that? Was it Heath Ledger that night?
Yeah, he's like,
Wasn't she like one of them was like with him the night he died?
oh gosh, I don't even know that.
Yeah, they were like dating, which is kind of weird.
The only-
they never looked older, which is
Which they do look, they've not been good to them.
oh,
Time was not with all the
they were
things
so cute.
they were, but their sister, she does a lot with, oh gosh, Marvel. Yeah, she's like WandaVision.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Okay. Wow. The more you know. Well, anyways,
Total dive on what we've been
Yeah.
watching. But yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. I did not know that. I did watch. Did you watch all the Fuller House when they came out? with
Yes,
that?
I did.
Oh, it's so cute. It made me feel young again.
I know. And she was just on, Candace was
I
on
like
The
her
Masked
so
Singer.
much. Oh, really?
Mhm.
How'd she do?
She didn't go very far, but
Okay.
she still did good. But Gretchen Wilson won this season.
Gretchen Wilson's still around?
Yes, she won.
Okay, hold on. What did Gretchen Wilson? What was she?
That woman.
That's right.
I sing that song sometimes.
Sure you did.
Driving down the road.
Okay. The more you know about it. All right.
I'm not a redneck woman. And that
No. Of course, no.
That order that I didn't get, and
Oh, yeah.
the other
We should
one.
talk about that.
Yeah, so I ordered this hat.
She loves her trucker hats.
I do. I
Well,
love.
actually, if they're trucker hats, are they really? Because some of them are just cute.
Well, they're all labeled as trucker hats on the websites
Okay.
that you buy them from.
some of them are less bulky, I think.
Mhm. But I was ordering one going off of our redneck woman because I'm no redneck. Married the country boy.
Yeah, but it's like vintage camo-ish, right?
Yes. And I'm willing to do all the things, the redneck things. But I like my nails done and my hair
Yeah,
done.
just do a little
All
extra.
And so this hat on this website that I saw, it had like the camo and like a neon orange strip, but then it said certified yuppie on it. And I loved it because I always get called a yuppie, which is
Who calls you a yuppie?
people at church and my husband. It's fine. I'm fine with it.
She's.
What is
I
the
don't
word
even
I'm
know.
trying to go?
I don't even know what's happening.
Accepting. I'm accepting of the
Okay.
word and the phrase now.
You're embracing it.
Embracing this.
There we go.
That's the word.
I was like thinking about your emotion.
I was like, oh, what am I trying? But anyway, so I wanted this hat, and I was like, this is hilarious. This would be-
Certified yuppie.
yeah, certified yuppie. So it'd be good for the leg, but it had the camo on it,
Did
so it
not
was
say
like,
that.
huh?
It did not say that.
No, the hat that I received did not say that. It was not appropriate, and I really don't know who's buying this hat and wearing it because it said sounds like some BS to me. Or
Yeah, so
something
fully
like
spelled out, and then
yes,
it said
in big bold.
Ashley loving me the way she did. She's like, "Do you want this?" And I was like, "Do you want?"
Where would I wear
Yeah.
it? Like,
Because you know, the minute you wear that out anywhere, you're seeing everyone you know,
yes.
and you're just like,
But I wore it around the house for a little bit, and like Caleb said something, and I was like, and just like for those
You're
not
like, this-
watching, pointed to the hat, was like,
Yeah.
I mean,
you're like, this would be actually useful for just
just
this.
the house, just
Yeah.
around the house for those moments.
Yeah.
But, anyways, so I don't know how we got
All
on
of that
topic.
to say, let's talk about our merch.
Yes,
Super exciting.
Yes.
That has very appropriate language on it.
yes, it does. It's not inappropriate.
And if you're not looking, then you don't know, but I'm wearing one of our sweatshirts that says "Not Alone." If you are watching, you can see it. It's super cute crop sweatshirt, lightweight. What is this color called? Creamy
dust something.
Oh, dust. I think it is called. Wait, I don't know if that's a great name for it, but it is such a cute sweatshirt, and it's lightweight, so it's comfortable.
Very
It's
soft, very soft. That's what we go for here. We want comfort and
Mhm.
that you can just
Cozy.
lounge in, cozy. Yeah.
Yeah, now let's talk about why we did Not Alone for our first merch release.
Yes. So we've said this from the very beginning
Yeah.
when we launched our very first episode that we don't do life alone.
We're not
And-
meant to.
No, we're not meant to. Jesus didn't do it. People that we've talked about in the
Yeah.
Bible,
So how much more do we need?
yes,
Yeah.
didn't do it alone. So we wanted the reminder that you're not alone.
And Ashley, we were just spitballing like back and forth, and Ashley, like, all of a sudden she sent this over, and I'm like, oh, I love it. It was so good. And Ashley's like, yeah, I've just been thinking on it for a couple days. And she's always like that with her creative things. She's like, yeah, it's not a big
Just
thing. I've just been
thinking
thinking
about
about it a
it.
couple days.
So
Here's some
thinking
graphics
about
that
it. I'm not going to
created.
do it. I was just thinking about it, and then I did it.
It was so, and it's so aligned again to like what you're saying to why we do this and why we started the podcast and why we just launched Sisterhood Sessions and you know everything else that's to come. Why
Yeah.
is because we want community, we want support, we want everybody to know you're not alone.
Yes. And so there's ways you can go on our social media to purchase, or to let us know. Right now we're just doing a pre-order. And then probably by the time you're listening to this, that pre-order will be closed, but we're always accepting orders.
Mhm.
And then we are working on our website right now. It's a process if you've ever built a website before. It's not just something you just like wham bam, thank you, ma'am. It's one of those probably should
That has gotten to you.
it got right to me.
Strike. No, you are not. Right, stay in there.
No,
I'm not editing it. We'll stay.
we'll stay. Okay. Well, anyways, it's not one of those one and done. That's probably
Actually, no more puns. So it's not easy.
it's not an easy. It's not an easy
What is that part when on the blip of the screen it goes to those stripes and it says technical difficulties?
Anyways,
Yeah.
it's not an easy thing. It takes time. And so when we push that out, it will have a place for you to purchase merch on there, and our future launches will merch drops, all those things will all go on there as well. So it's not just like, hey, send me your Venmo. we'll send you a request or anything like that. It'll actually be a little more professional and put together. But for the time
For
being,
tracking purposes and
Yes.
for your, security and stuff.
yes. And so for the time being, this is what we have. So if you want to check out the Venmo post, the Instagram and Facebook post, we have all the information on how to order there.
Yeah. Very excited about it.
We are
Every
really
release will be themed on some level. Some of it will just be branding for
Yes.
sure. So there'll be some of that coming too. But we're excited for all the things.
Yes.
Okay. So, anyways, we're real excited about the merch.
Yes.
Very excited about the website.
Yes.
All the things to come. And yeah, so we'll kind of, I guess, use that to transition into last episode was actually diving into her word and for the year
Mm-hmm.
and her why
Yep.
and what it means for her and for all the things. And so I wanted to dive into my word or my phrase, whatever, however you want to put it. Because refinement sounds like the sophisticated thing, and it's definitely not. It's definitely a very abrasive,
Yeah.
painful thing. So, more like asking to be refined or, what that looks like. So I don't know how much we've shared or how much I've shared about this last year, and what I've navigated. And then even going back a couple years, some significant loss and some hard places, truly hard places. And I think I'm just now getting to the place where the things that happened, 3 years ago that I'm able to talk about.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, people look at grief and they think grief has like this resolve or this end note. And I think we've talked about it enough to know that that's just not the reality. It changes who you are for the rest of your life. And then your life is spent learning how to commingle grief and joy, right? And that's kind of like the navigation of grief in full scope. It's never ending. Whether it's personal loss or, family loss or, there's just so many different things that you grieve.
Yeah.
So I think that just now, and I'm so thankful for, one of the things that we say all the time, and, it's why that's why that was our first release is you're not meant to do life alone, but I really tend to, because of how I was raised, subdue a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
And not be vulnerable and not be, my version of authentic does not include my grief or my pain.
Yeah.
My version of authentic looks like what I was raised to bring to church every Sunday. And it was the visual of Christ in you.
Yeah.
And not so much the visual of what he's brought you through or what he's bringing you through. So I think that, and we've talked about that, there's a lot of, unfortunately, like church hurt associated with this perception of Christianity versus what relationship, which is one of our past episodes, looks like in contrast to religion. So all of those pieces for me, which again on the community note, I'm so thankful because it has forced me to be very uncomfortable in the best ways.
Yeah.
And having conversations about these things.
And you've always, like where you haven't shared, you have so much insight to give and wisdom to give in the area because you have walked it, and though you may not have been able to share to like the full extent of those things, the advice and just the encouragement that you give, like you will get to the other side of this, even though you've been walking through some of it this past year as well. Like you didn't let it stop you from being able to encourage others.
Yeah.
And where I know we've heard a lot of my story and
Yeah.
the things that I've been through. And I know your story, but
Right.
I'm excited to hear,
Yeah.
I won't say the more healed version, but you're in the process.
Right. Right. And I think that I'm not jealous is not the right word. Inspired is probably a better word, but I think those two can exist in a healthy way. When you share it so it just comes out so whole.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I've always found like a little bit of a hurdle or a big hurdle where I try to share it or communicate it and I feel like it doesn't have any kind of closure piece. It doesn't have any kind of, and so I think that again is that false sense of what healing looks like. Because healing, and I think when we were at your church, that panel where Candace said healing is active, it's constant, it's not a destination, it's a lifestyle. And I think that that's something that we don't often associate healing with.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, when we cut ourselves and the scab happens and it's gone and sometimes there's a scar, but sometimes there's not, you know? And so I think that's our perception of healing. When obviously what's internal is so much more significant. Yeah, so I think to kind of walk through refining, I'm going to start with the scripture and then I'm going to try to the best of my ability, communicate parts, you know? There are still parts that I can't fully share.
Yeah.
For the sake of this and what I know God is walking me through and I'm thankful for, we're going to start with the scripture. So I'm reading out of 1 Peter, just a couple verses, not like anything crazy. 1 Peter chapter 1, and then starting in verse 6. But I am going to backtrack a little bit to verse 3 after, we navigate some of this. So I'll kind of go from 6 forward and then I'll go back. And it's painful to read, honestly. So be truly glad. There is wonderful joy ahead, even though you must endure many trials for a little while. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. So when your faith remains strong through many trials, it will bring you much praise and glory and honor on the day when Jesus Christ is revealed to the whole world. You love him even though you have never seen him. Though you do not see him now, you trust him. And you rejoice with a glorious, inexpressible joy. The reward for trusting him will be the salvation of your souls. I love, and also, I don't know.
It's a hard one.
I know. It's like to read it.
Like, there's gonna be this, but you're gonna have to go through this too.
Yeah.
And it's gonna look good in the
Yeah.
end, but it's gonna suck for a little. You gotta embrace the suck.
Yeah. And I was talking to somebody, at this, when we had our sessions lunch, and she said something and it stuck with me. I was like, oh, and I think she said it in front of all of us, when we were having our dive in afterwards into the study. She said she realized that her discontentment with her current life, like her ideal of perfection for her life, was so frustrating because she wasn't created for this world, and that her need for perfection was her spirit. I don't remember how she said it, but it was beautiful, right?
Yeah, it was.
It was like her spirit call to eternity, like to what God had,
like her. Yeah.
her home call. Maybe I don't know what she said it so. Sharon, I'm sorry. You said it so beautifully, and it has impacted me since she said that, because I'm like, we have this, what we define as OCD, like I definitely do. And I'm like, that is not ever going to be satisfied in this world.
Yeah.
My obsession with some version of perfection or my ideal is not ever going to happen in this world.
Yeah.
And it's because it is my, and what did she say? It was such a beautiful way of putting
Basically just relating it to that what she craves here on earth will not be satisfied until we're in heaven.
Yeah. And it was something to be celebrated, not frustrated by, because it was her realization of her spirit longing for that space. And I think that's a hard thing too, because when we talk about eternity and the separation from this world, and we're not supposed to be, we're in it but not of it, right? It's hard because we know that we're going to know our family and our loved ones differently.
Yeah.
And so that realization, I think as a mother especially, is difficult to navigate and be excited over.
Yeah.
But I'm reading out of the NLT. Most versions utilize the word refined in this purification process. And I don't like the word purification because of that Handmaid's Tale. Anyways, so don't watch that. If you have, you know what I'm saying. But so I don't like that word technically. But I love that it says that these trials will show that your faith is genuine. Have you ever watched that process where they purify gold and what happens, for us to get the gold that we wear on our our jewelry and stuff like that, and what they do to melt it down and to remove all the impurities? It is wild.
Yeah, it's a whole.
It is, and it's crazy to watch what the end result is, and it's so much less than what the beginning was. And I think that that's something that is really hard to come to grips with, is that the beginning and the end are going to look so dramatically different.
And we think we need all the things that are there in the beginning to make us who we are at the end. And it's like, well, let's just.
Yeah. And in refining, in being refined, we have to and you had said this in the last episode, we referenced the potter and the clay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very similar, on that purging of all these things. But in that, intense uncomfortability, it's very humbling.
Yeah.
Because you have this perception of the need for all of this excess. Mm-hmm. And it just actually only aids in distracting or deterring or preventing the path that God has for us. Yeah. The purpose.
Yeah, well, and I've always not hated this phrase, but like there's beauty in surrender. Because nobody wants to seem like the weaker individual, but when we do truly surrender, what he's able to shape and mold us into is so much more beautiful than what we could try to put ourselves in. Or like when we try to put ourselves in the mold, we don't fit, there's things sticking out, it's all wonky or whatever. And then when he does it, it turns it into this beautiful masterpiece. Yeah. But we have to be willing to surrender to the shaping and the molding of it.
It's very unpleasant. Super unpleasant. So when I was reading in this and I was listening, I've listened to so many sermons on just really focusing on the refining process. And one of the pastors I listened to, and he pointed this out, and I was like, oh, that is everything I feel. Mm-hmm. And he said, you have to be humbled to be refined, because what you think you're supposed to hold on to is not the thing you're supposed to hold on to. And so it takes humility and a humble heart to say, please, like, if there's anything in me, remove it. If there's anything you see in me that is wicked, pull it out. If there's anything in me that you see as an obstacle to my purpose and plan, to my peace, to my insert whatever, right? Get it, take it. Mm-hmm. It's yours. And so he said this, and I was like, wow, this is good. So he said humility for him, in light of what God has shown him and all the things, is being vulnerable enough. And I actually have to screenshot it because I was like, man, I'm not gonna do it justice here either. Yeah, that's him. But it was, humility is being vulnerable with your weakness. And vulnerability means you have to be honest, and you have to be aware, and you have to give it. You can't just know it. You can't just see it. You have to surrender it, like you were saying. And I think that knowing that it requires vulnerability is so hard. Because like I said, growing up, vulnerability was not a part of religion. Mm-hmm. It is part of relationship. Yeah. But it is not a part of going to church. It was not a part of experiencing.
Nobody needs to know your dirty laundry.
That's the phrase my whole life.
Yeah.
My whole life.
Don't out your dirty laundry in front of you.
Yeah. So it's interesting, that is key to his purpose in our pain. So it's also sad because it's how many of us are walking around living lives of pain without purpose because we were told that he can't handle it or that it's not for everyone.
That's why we have such a generation, our generation right now is all, not that therapy is a bad thing, but all in therapy because we're trying to figure out how to, all these things that we were told.
What's the purpose for this? Yeah. Yeah. And all these things, we grew up, and I don't think nobody meant bad things.
No.
But that's what they understood. And even in the breaking of these generational things that are so painful to break, they broke pieces of it to raise up. In recognizing, the vulnerable spaces and the surrendering of those things, there's also a lot of that, which, we'll talk about in another episode, that unforgiveness plays a part in, and trauma plays a part in. And a lot of those things, being refined is not just releasing this pain point and accepting there's a purpose, but really understanding the steps that we need to take in our lives to get us into the place alignment, with the purpose he has for it. This for me, there's been like, I don't know, it seems like just this cycle of events where I'm constantly like, okay, what have I not learned? What have I not picked up? What have I not come to grips with? And just this, year, and then this last, I don't know, a few months, God has really been showing me the asking of Him to reveal those things. Because sometimes they're buried so deep, we don't even realize what it is that is preventing the purpose in that. And so then we're just cycling through the same pains, and we're letting it, impact us again in a different way. But it feels so similar. And so our reactions are identical. You know what I mean? Even if it's a little bit different or if it's a little bit changed, because we still haven't let go, release, surrendered that thing, because we don't have an awareness for it. To your point, I think I do agree. I think it's why a lot of our generation is in therapy and is asking for anybody to show them what is the thing.
Like, what's the healthy way to deal with this and it not...
Run my life, run my destination points, run my map, whatever it is, because they do. We don't even, it's so subconscious.
Well, and we're told that our emotions are deceitful, but the Lord literally founded us in emotion, and He gave us these things, and Jesus experienced different emotions, and so there's a way that we can deal with our grief, deal with the refinement of things in a way that's not going to destroy us. But for so long, we were taught, well, your emotions are going to deceive you. They're going to lead you the wrong way. You shouldn't listen to them. You should follow think logically. Don't think with your heart or whatever. And so we have a generation trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I apply both of these things? Because it's not necessarily wrong, but they're coming together now, and I don't know what to do.
Well, and I think, so I love the visual that is in Peter here. It's in the visual of the fire, right? And that's why that's so essential, because we can understand something seen. And I think, like, if your house was on fire, I would be able to tell. If I drove by, or, hopefully, like, you called me and, like, I would see it, I would identify it, and we would work towards remedying it, putting it out, whatever. But I perceive, and I know in myself, there's a lot of us navigating this life with fires on the inside of the pain and the torment and the trauma, and insert whatever that is just like burning. And it's like, God, when does this not? When is this done? When do I get to be past this? When is that refining? And I truly believe it's just not here on earth. That there will always be something, and thank God there will be something where He's growing us and challenging us and developing something, because He has a plan and a purpose. And I think it's similar to what we said the last episode, that we should be comforted by the fact that He can see the destinations, that He can see the map, that He can see every step, because we can only see what we're burning with in that moment. And if we had a way to remedy that and put it out, it would probably extinguish the next moment. It would probably prevent the next growth, the next milestone with who God and where God is calling us.
No, because we'll look at things and we ask God, we're like, show me the bigger picture, show me the bigger picture. And He's like, but if you saw the bigger picture, you could not handle what and how I'm going to work this. So we just see what's right in front of us in this moment, and it's hard and it sucks. And you're just like,
absolutely,
this is painful. I don't want to do this anymore. But He's like, but if you could see the bigger picture, you would see that all this that I'm doing is going to be for your good.
And I think,
my glory.
And I think we feel isolated in it. And it's like, He's like, you're not by yourself. You are not you couldn't do it alone. And I love that, fire just seems to be so prevalent. Obviously it's refinement, so that is going to be part of the process. But like when they're in the fire, in the furnace, and everybody sees 4 people. And I think that is, for me, such a visual representation of how people took, and I'm going to try to say this well, which is not going to come out well, the don't air out your dirty laundry is what people perceived Christ would look like on us. You know what I mean? Like, you should look holy because He is holy. You should look restored, redeemed, healed, insert whatever completion. Because that's who God is. And it's like, well, if that's who I am, then I don't need God. And I think that circles back to what Sharon shared in our sessions. That completion is not on earth.
Yeah.
So the realization of the fullness of God is not on earth. But what I love about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, thank you. I know I always say Abednego like a knee, and I know it's wrong. So thank you. Is people saw, but they were in the fire, so they were not aloof. I don't know if that's the right word. To the fact that these men were in fire.
Yeah.
So and take that and make it internal. Nobody should be like they don't ever suffer. Nobody should be like they've never experienced pain. Nobody they've just their life's been perfect. And how many times have we said that about people?
Yeah.
Right? The highlight reel, the insert whatever makes you feel like yours is bad and you're made to suffer because there's something you're doing wrong and this person is successful and insert all those things. This is a lot of internal content of mine. But it's so that they can see you're in the fire, but you're not alone in the fire.
Yeah.
Not alone. And this is such a good, I just love this. It's such a good, I'm sorry. But it really is, I think, this whole refinement process is not about putting on a mask and pretending. The joy that he is referencing here, which is so painful to read, and he basically says, rejoice.
Yeah.
It's because you're not alone in the fire. And because there's a purpose for it. Because if it was purposeless, we would just be hopeless. And how many people are walking around like that?
Yeah. I mean, we have a whole world.
Yeah. And I don't know how people do it. Because it's hard enough to walk around with it, you know, and knowing you're not alone. That is still, it's still hard because you still are enduring these things.
Yeah. I would rather go through the fire knowing that he's right there with me than through the fire and
never get to the other side, never have that breath like we referenced. So anyways, all of this for me, this last year and a half has been, I have shared, you know, and I can't go into super details, but like I have shared that I was a part of a startup, that there was things that I was envisioning that I thought God was doing. And as I'm looking back and as I'm hindsight everything, I'm seeing all these pink flags and red flag moments where God was like, Megan, and you know, like, hey, really? Like, this is where your desires are going. This is what your heart's desire is now. Is this is aligned with me? And there were moments in that though, where I felt very sure, you know, and very confident. And I now in hindsight really identify the things that he was trying to remove from me. It was the dependence on self. It was the complete, the definition of success.
yeah.
It was the identity piece. So much that I allowed myself to be surrounded by that was a distraction from him, from where he was calling me from. And in the midst of it, I'm still in relationship with him. And he is being so gracious with this refining process because I drug it out. I'm sure he was just like, let me get in there. Let me just get in. And there was so much of it that I was, you know, and I think it goes along with something you said, and I'm just not going to say it correctly, but we were talking about Judas and we were talking about, connection does not equal intimacy. And I think so many times we are in such a habit of connection that we feel like, well, if God didn't want me here, then he wouldn't let me walk through. No, like we have free will.
He's gonna let you walk through the door.
Yeah. We get to do these things as dumb and as,
or he's gonna tell you not to walk through the door.
But it's my choice. Yeah. And I think that's where we get to where we think God is mean. Well, why would he allow these things to? No. He tried. He put I was tripping up left and right on the guardrails he was trying to put in front of me, and I still moved and pushed and sought after these things. And, you know, nothing, like when I share these things, nothing of this was like supremely, like was ultimately a wicked thing. And there are these moments where we allow the world to start defining things that God has already defined for us. Yeah. And we lose sight and we make it part of God's story. And he never intended that. And I mean, we see Saul doing that. We see David doing that. We see so many people and so many references in the Bible. And when we read the stories, we're like, how did they not know? Yeah. How did they not see it? And then we're living our lives doing the same thing. We're still connected, but we're not operating in intimacy, because intimacy is a consideration of mutual ebb and flow of conversation and of correction and of adoration. And at some point, connection is just routine and comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what he has for us. And we talked about that last time, what the comfort doesn't equal peace.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely has nothing to do with refinement. Like, it has nothing to do with being refined. So I think, you know, for me, well, I know for me in this season, the absolute constant ebb and flow of pain and joy, the mix, the collaboration of the two is where I have really found God to be so consistent and so present, just being emotional. And I really believe God is like, you know, I'm just tired of this. I'm going to be strong because I can be strong. I'm just tired of this. You know, I can make it because of my own might.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let me be, you know, those things for you. And I think all of us do that.
Yeah.
You know, we try to just suck it up. We try to just muster through, and not everybody can handle all of our emotions. And I'm comfortable with that. Obviously, I know you can handle my emotions. And I think Seth can. He's done a pretty good job for 15 years.
Yeah.
But not everybody can handle that. But God gives us safe places to release those things.
Well, and I think just even in the way that our relationship, like when we first met, you're like, I'm not going to cry about this.
No.
And then like the more that our relationship progressed and the way that the Lord has used each one of us to speak to a need or to just be there, you can see how he's softening your heart to respond to the things that he desires to give to you, whether it is healing, whether it is peace, and even in refinement. Like you could stay just hard and rigid, but he's breaking the walls of religion and what you've always known and grown up in, and he's putting you into this peace that's, I don't want to call you a peace, but like he's purposing you for his good and his glory, where it's no longer defined by what you've always known.
Right.
And I mean, I've seen that even this past year. I mean, I'm just thinking back even to season 2 where you were stuck on, but everything that kept coming in your face was like, is this prideful? Is this prideful? Is this prideful? Yes. And now you're in this place though where you recognized it's my want to control the situation, and now it's just like, this is all out of my control and I've got to give it to him. And just seeing the way that you've slowly, but not slowly in a bad way, but you've gradually stepped into, okay, he's taken lead.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I shared in the last episode, like he's leading you to where he's wanting to take you. It's not you trying to say, all right, I'm going to take you with me, and then we'll just see how it goes.
Right. Well, we realize how hard we get, I think. Mm-hmm. Like, we just really get to where, and even this last year, I mean, I think, you know, going from trusting somebody fully to being, you know, to discovering tremendous amount of lies and deceit and things that were not just impactful for you, but everyone in your, you know, in your space, in your company, you know, watching that trickle down and seeing what that is. And I think I shared it before, but she gave me this book, I Want to Trust You, But I Don't. And I hate that book. But it has really, and I mean, I hate that it, I don't know, took that because I didn't think I had trust issues like that.
Yeah.
But it showed me that I don't know how to word this well. I felt very justified in not trusting this individual as a result of this.
Yeah.
And I should. But it showed me how much of my life I have not, without reason, trusted and allowed. So I think like sometimes when God refines us, it's not bad.
Yeah.
He's trying to reveal something that has literally been hurting us for most of our lives, and we're holding on to it like it's saving us.
Yeah, no, that's really good.
And I think I'm like, what? Well, did it have to go like? Did I have to learn it this way? But he knows me. He knows I was not going to learn it any other way, unfortunately. Yeah. Yeah. So next time I get mad at my 5-year-old for not learning it the easy way, I'll have to reflect on the last year and a half of my life.
Mommy didn't learn it easy.
Yeah.
Either.
But I do want to go back. So this whole part of 1 Peter is about the hope of eternal life. And I think that's why when Sharon shared, she She sells seashells by the seashore. When Sharon shared that, I thought, this is so in line with this, because we're created for eternity. Our souls are created for eternity. And if that is what we're created for, then in the refinement and in all the things, he's preparing us for that. So it should be joyful. It's not because the pain doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
It's not because it doesn't suck, because it sucks so much. Real bad. It's because our hope is not in that moment or in that thing that is being purged. It's in eternity. So the whole preface to that scripture is all praise to God, the Father of our Lord. It is by his great mercy that we have been born again, because God raised Jesus Christ from the dead. Now we live with great expectation. An expectation in this verse is literary. Oh, I can't talk.
Literally.
Thank you. Defined as God's plan. So it's not expectation like we understand that word, which I thought was like, okay. So it's like we live because of Christ being raised. We live with great faith in his plan, great confidence in his purpose. Great, it's him.
Yeah.
It can't be us.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing great about our expectations.
Yeah.
And we have a priceless inheritance, an inheritance that is kept in heaven, pure and undefiled, beyond the reach of change and decay. And through your faith, God is protecting you by his power until you receive this salvation, which is ready to be revealed on the last day. So I love that. Number one, it's saying it's really referencing the pure, undefiled nature of what God has for us. And then it tells you that you're going to be refined here on earth.
Yeah.
Because it's letting you know what we're experiencing won't be anything.
Yeah.
We'll never know the completion of that until that day.
Yeah.
But then I also love that it says, through your faith, God is protecting you by his power. So a lot of times, again, that purging or that protection feels like he's punishing us. And he's like, I have more than this. You are hurting yourself. I'm watching my child repeat the same thing over and over again without like give it to me. So then you can just, I don't know. It's like walking, or crawling to walking. It's like taking that step. It's like, get off the ground.
Yeah.
And he wants that for us. But so many times we choose the ground, which is wild and just disappointing for me. Because the realization of our flesh is so disappointing,
Well, and that song, Josh Baldwin sings "Made for More." That's all that's like playing in my head right now as you're like talking, is like, we weren't made.
Yeah.
I wasn't made to be tending the grave. I was born and raised back to life again.
Yeah.
I was made for more.
Yeah.
Like, we're, like you said, we were not made for this world. We were made for spending eternity with him. But while we're here, he's brought us back to a place of life, and don't spend it hanging out by the grave. Like, go out and be life to someone else.
Right.
And leave the dead things where the dead things are. Like, don't bring them with you.
No, that's good.
And so that's a part of refinement. Like, don't, once whether it be the potter's wheel or the fire, like, don't try to scoop up the ashes at the end and say, well, I'm just going to bring this with me.
Like, why are you collecting dust?
Yeah.
This is just wild.
Or like, with the potter's wheel, like, don't just try to like put it back on you. Leave it there. And I always, this is something that I always remember, just growing up in church. But like, when we go to the altar and we're laying something down, they're like, don't pick it back up and walk back out the door with it. Like, leave it there.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing in this situation. And in your story, in all of our stories.
Right.
When we go through something where the Lord is trying to shape us into something else, something that we were not, I don't even know where I'm trying to go, like the word I'm trying to say, but we weren't fitting the mold.
Right.
And so he's
we weren't aligned with his plan.
Yes. Yeah. And so he's shaping us into his plan and the way that he wants us to go. Like, don't fight that, because the more you fight something, the more it hurts. Right. And like, I think of like brushing Charlie's hair. It gets so tangly and so knotty. And so when I'm brushing her hair, she's like, and she's moving her hands over her hair. I'm like, the more you fight this, the more you put your hands in the way of what I'm trying to do, the more tension it's going to cause, the more knots it's going to cause, all of this stuff. But if you just, and saying this to her, I'm like, if you just let mommy brush through it, mommy will put her hand behind to make sure that those knots are not pulling at it, and mommy will hold it a certain way. So I feel like that's what the Lord tries to do. If you would just let me do it and not try to control how it's done, it will hurt a lot less. There's still going to be pain involved in it.
So much pain.
But it can hurt a little less,
Right,
if we just give him full control.
and because he knows he has the purpose in mind. Like, we always see, because pain is so consuming, all we see and feel is the pain.
Yeah.
You know, and he has such a plan and a map and the reality of the reason. And we don't have that. So just having that, and that's why it says, like, be truly glad. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. Because if you genuinely are having faith in his plan and his purpose, then you are going to let him pull those things, and you are going to be, confident in the why behind the pain.
Yeah.
Versus just, like I said, walking through life in this pain mode and it just being purposeless and hopeless. I mean,
when you see the people that walk around like that, they're bitter and upset and have no joy. And he's sitting here reminding you in his word, like, be joyful in this. Like,
which seems so angering for me. Like, when you read it first without, like, context, you're just like, seriously? Like, you want me to smile? I mean, you want me to put on a mat? And that's not what he's saying.
no.
He's saying, because I have something here. I have more for you. I can see it all. You can't see it all.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is. And he's so good, and he's so gracious towards us, and he shows so much mercy when we don't deserve it at all. And even in those times of refinement where we're sitting there, like, I don't want to go through this again, he's still just, I picture like a papa or a daddy just saying, but if you just let me do this with you,
Yeah.
if you don't push me away, if you don't try to control the outcome,
Yeah.
and just let me handle it, there's going to be so much more for you.
Absolutely.
And I can think of times when, like, I was being corrected by, like, my papa or my dad, and they would pull me in after, specifically my dad, but he would, like, pull me in after a hard conversation or a spanking or something like that, and just say, I know that hurt and I know that was hard, but if you just allow us to show you and to teach you, and you just felt like it sucked in the moment and it was hard, but you felt the love from it. And maybe not like right in the moment, but after you've done that for a couple of times, and you're like just breathing, and they come back in and just reassure you. And we do it with our kids too. Like, I know this wasn't how you wanted it to go, but mommy knew better, and because of that, you can enjoy this now.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, I think that's good. And I think, so, like, as far as how we wrap up this episode, recognizing that your pain does have a purpose, and that God is there with you. You're not by yourself. And that we can be vulnerable with our weaknesses, and we can surround ourselves with a safe community that will encourage us in the refining of things. And then praying that prayer, I think, is such a good, healthy way to approach your relationship with God, and how he's going to use you here on this earth is, God, if there's anything in me, please.
Yeah.
If it is painful, please, I don't care. Just get it out, because I want what God has for me. I want that for my children. I want that for my family. I want that for my home. I want that for, our city. I want that for our community. I think all of those things, I want that for whatever the workplace looks like moving forward. I want those pieces. I want his purpose and his plan. I don't want my expectations and my ideals and my control, because it has not produced good things, and it won't, because it's flesh. So I think that realization and that perspective as we walk through every day is so important to our growth and our relationship with God. So do you have anything you want to add in there before we kind of wrap up? I think.
No, I mean, what you share, I will just say, like, it's been beautiful to watch this season that you're in, because the Megan I first met. It's not the Megan I know now. And I loved that Megan then, but
Thanks for that.
this Megan now is she's becoming exactly who God called her to be.
What
And
I will say, when I met Ashley, when I met you, you're very, and this is like the best way I can put it, so forgive me. I also make a lot of jokes all the time, right? And I don't think that's changed. I'm still very funny. Yes, okay. Thank you. Tell my husband. You're very feminine and very soft. And that has been very abrasive to my general. And when I say that, it doesn't anger me. It's just completely contradictory to what I believe for myself. Yeah. Like how I position myself. I'm tough. I'm hard. I'm neutrals. I'm black and white. You're pinks and flowers and happiness. And I do not equate happiness with funny. Those two things are different to me.
Protection.
Yes. And so initially when we started doing this and you were so good with all the social media things and they're so girly. And I was like, oh, it's just a lot of fun. I'm just a little bit. But it wasn't that I was having a hard time with. It was the softness and the vulnerability that you have, I think, operated in since I've known you. I don't think that has ever, and I don't know how you do that.
I don't either. The Lord.
I'm like, even in all of the things that you have navigated since I've known you and prior to me knowing you, you have never called. I'm trying to think of what people say. You've never mistaken authenticity for anything else. And I think sometimes we think we're being authentic and genuine, and we're really just being a version of ourselves that we're comfortable with. Anywhere. Like, that doesn't make you authentic. Just because you are the same person everywhere you go, that doesn't mean you're being authentic.
Yeah, no.
And so you have done such a good job, and that was hard for me. And I didn't really know it. Like, I wanted to call it, well, she likes pink. I did, because we constantly had that. I'm like, well, what about some tans? Like, can we throw some black and white there? And you were just like, sure. And you were so so accommodating. And I thought my problem, but you saw, like, I've done a lot more pink lately.
You have.
I know. It's a wild time.
Our whole dining room, there's like shades of pink in there.
Yeah. Seth almost lost his mind. But the thing is,
It's beautiful
it
though.
is. It is. But there's a softness to women that I think I always assumed meant weak.
Yeah.
And I think that I have had obviously God knows what we need in our seasons and what he's doing. If I did not have you in my life in this season of all this, whatever this was, this refining, I think I could have been harder on the other side. So I'm very thankful, because I think and I'm thankful that you see those things changing in me, but whatever you see changing is also a realization that I've come to of why I struggled with, like, graphics. It was such a small thing, and I just wanted to call it because they were still beautiful, they were creative, they were excellent, like Z pattern focus for marketing, like all the good things. You did all the right things. I struggled with the softness.
Yeah.
And I still
We're gonna get your pink back as our favorite.
the flamingo.
Yes, as our
Lindsay.
favorite Lindsay.
Girk. I think it's Girk. Yeah. Yeah, and I think
you're still raising your kids.
I
But
I think I thought
on
that
the
was
other side-
offensive. I think I thought that was weak.
Yeah.
To me it was like, oh, I'm very strong like bull. I don't know where the accent happened there. I'm so sorry. But yes, I agree with you. I think there's things that I have come to the other side, still walking through, but I'm very thankful for you, because a lot of that has been the realization of I really hardened some things and it happens so sneaky. It happens so without us knowing, because I don't think I've always been, maybe I have. I don't know. I think when I was a kid, maybe I was joyful, but I think I have tried to mix or make funny happy, and they're not the same.
Yeah.
They're not the same. So anyways, there's all that content. We could probably pray.
So if you're new to the Sisterhood podcast, there's lots of accents, lots of jokes, and
We can't ever do like Scottish though, because that's not that's Outlander.
in a time of prayer, but we have fun around here. We hope you continue to join us in that fun. And that it's not all difficult.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a great season. All right, I'm going to pray, and I know we have started taking prayer requests. These 2 episodes specifically, we're praying for very specific things for everybody listening, and for all the women that have attended our session, and all of the things that we're doing and what God has. So we're praying specifically according to these words on these 2 episodes. But we will get back to prayer requests next episode. So I'm going to wrap this up. God, we just thank you so much for your amazing ways that you pivot us from the things that we think or the expectations that we have or the maps that we put out there, the pictures that we create. I just thank you for turning us from those things, for pulling the things out of our lives that need to be removed. God, for refining us in the way only you can, for your purpose, for your glory, for your plan. And God, that we would just release the things that we perceive that we need, knowing that you have more, that you have exactly what we need, what we require to get to the goal that you have already mapped out for us. God, I pray that we would let our faith be refined, let it be genuine, let it be stronger, God, because of who you are, not because of who we think we are. I pray that we would be so adept at surrendering, that it would be an everyday experience, that it would be in every moment, in every situation, those things that we hold so tight. God, that we would open our hands and we would ask you to take them, God. God, that I pray that we would get to this space in our spirits, that it would be more comfortable to release everything to you than to hold on to anything that we think is necessary. God, I just thank you, Lord. Give us wisdom. Help us to ask for those things to be removed. Help us to seek your plan and your purpose within our pain. God, help us to not be consumed by the pain that we are navigating, by the fire that we have inside. Help us to look for you in that space, God. Help us to see your presence and your purpose in those spaces. God, I thank you so much for showing up and for being who you are, faithfully, relentlessly, consistently. And I pray that we would cling to that, God, because that is the truth. That is the source. You are the only way, God. I thank you for every woman that is listening, every heart that is being refined. I thank you for every purpose and every plan, God. In the midst of all of the situations, all of the seasons, God, all of the pain, I just thank you that you will have your way, God, that you will have the glory. And God, that we can rejoice not because it's not painful, but because you are present, that we are not alone. And God, that you are bringing us through into the other side. Lord, we love you. We thank you. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Like our good friend Ross, allow the Lord to pivot you in the right direction.
Pivot.
Have a great weekend.
Yes.